Hey guys, so today's video, I want to talk through the most desired things that you are asking me for in a house. And we're going to go over where you can actually find that in the Greenville upstate area. So number 10 is homes that have been remodeled and updated, or a new construction as well. Really, you want to be able to move into a house that doesn't have work, okay? So what do I mean by that? It's either going to be brand new, it's going to be updated, it's going to be not the fixer-upper. Here in the upstate, we find a lot of new construction, and then also we find homes that have been remodeled. There's a lot of homes here in the area that have been here for 30, 40, even upwards of 60 years. And we have investors that go in, they take them down to the studs. They touch every part of the inside of a house. Now, there's definitely a difference between a appropriately remodeled house and then one that's just, for lack of better terms, lipstick on a pig. We really want to make sure that the house that you go into, one, if it's a new construction, it is a good build quality. And we have some opinions on builders around here. And then if it's a remodeled home, then we want to make sure that the work was done well and appropriately. Because really, you don't want to go into a house that, you know, it just has paint and new countertops, maybe new flooring and light fixtures, but there's underlying problems. So we get those inspections done. Really, if you want to just go, hey Aubree, we just are good to live in a home that maybe is 10 to 20 years old and has been really well cared for, the team would love to help you do that, because there's a lot more inventory on the market right now in 2024 than there has been in years. So our market has slowed down a little bit, and that's a good thing for you guys that are looking to buy, and it's not necessarily a bad thing for sellers. We're just going back to normal. So number 9 is front porches and back porches. If there's anything that the South is known for, it is that we have a Southern charm. The ability to sit outside 3/4 of the year, and having a great front porch is a big ask around here. You want to be able to relax and talk to your neighbors or have your cup of morning coffee out there on the porch. Same thing for the back porch. It's either going to be screened in to where it's a room that you can sit in 2 to 3 seasons out of the year and enjoy the outdoors. So here in the South, that's a big ask. Also, when you find those big wraparound porches, they don't come along often, but they do exist here in Greenville. A quick story. Sometimes you will go see a house here in the South, great front porch, and you'll notice that the ceiling of that front porch is painted a specific light color of blue, almost turquoise. Now, there is a superstition tied to that is from the Gullah Geechee people that is old. The general story is people used to paint the ceilings blue because they believed that spirits couldn't cross water. They didn't like water. And so they would paint the ceiling blue because then it would keep the evil spirits from entering into the house because of the blue ceiling looking like water. Who knew? Number 8 is a designated office. And I feel like I'm asked for this more today than I ever have been. Pre-COVID years, it really wasn't a thing. Not as many people worked from home, and if there was an office, great, or you would just use another bedroom, an extra bedroom as an office. Today, we see so many people that are working from home. It is definitely a more common occurrence. So having a designated office is important. So whether that is a front room in the house that has its own doors, no closets, so it's designated office, or maybe it's a hidden office that has its own secret door. We have a listing like that right now. So having those office spaces are important, and sometimes it's just for one person, sometimes it's for 2 people, and you need that spot to go away from your regular life and be able to close the door on work. All right, so number 7 is a reasonable driveway. And that might not seem like a big deal to y'all, but here, because we're in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, sometimes you really have to be careful because it is not flat here. So getting a nice reasonable driveway that is flat is important. I personally, from a realtor's point of view, believe that if you have a good flat driveway, or maybe one that, if it has a little bit of an incline, that's okay. But there are driveways here in different neighborhoods all across the upstate that are either super steep to where when you get out of the car, you have to parachute out, or they are super steep and going down and into the house. And then you have to be careful about water. So really pay attention to those driveways. If you're coming from an area that you're used to that, great, awesome. Like you will probably find a house that you get for a pretty reasonable price because most people around here aren't necessarily so interested in those super steep driveways. Speaking of driveways and those being outside, let's go for number 6, exterior finishes. Here in the South, we don't really deal with crazy weather like tornadoes or hurricanes, though I don't know, we just had a 500-year flood here with a hurricane in the mountains. So maybe having some better exterior finishes are what you need. You will find homes here that have vinyl siding on the exterior, a little bit of stonework. When you find those, yes, those are gonna be lower price point houses, I would say in the 300s. What you want to look for and what will stand up to the test of time more here in the area are brick homes, hardy board siding. I feel like the homes that have a little bit more of a customized finish usually have stonework on the front. They aren't cookie cutter. So there are neighborhoods here that are definitely more cookie cutter, and those price ranges are gonna be to 300s to 400s. However, if you want something that has a little bit more, I don't know, the je ne sais quoi, stonework and porches and brickwork, and they're different colors other than beige, then definitely we need to look at some different builders that maybe you aren't finding in your regular home search. We found a really awesome local builder who has a lot of these upgraded exterior finishes and interior finishes, but the houses are gorgeous and they're gonna be in our next video. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel and you have your notifications turned on because you do not wanna miss out on that video with that builder. All right, so number 5, middle of the road here, is amenities. Now, half of you are like, hey, no problem with an HOA. We understand its purpose. We love what we get. The other half of you are like, peace out, never living in an HOA ever again. So if you're one of those people, I get it, it's okay. We may need to buy a house that has its own pool or has its acreage so that you have what you need there for no HOA. Now, for you guys that want those amenities, the community pools, the pickleball courts, everybody plays pickleball. Anyways, there are neighborhoods that have all of that for you. And the neighborhoods that have those amenities, they usually have sidewalks, and the communities are built to truly get to know people. And that's one of the things that happens here in the South. You're gonna get to know your neighbors. It just happens. People talk to each other. Those amenities are something that, as you are looking for the home, it is important to look at covenants, codes, and restrictions as well. Because if you have pets, if you have more than 3 or 4 dogs, or you have a certain breed of a dog, sometimes we need to look at that. If there's anything that I missed though, or you're like, hey, we would love a community that has a swim team a part of that community. There are neighborhoods here in the upstate that have their own swim teams or tennis teams, and they're very connected. Places like Thornblade, Carillion, Pebble Creek, Mealy Farm, Half Mile Lake, just to name a few, because there are plenty of neighborhoods here that have these amenities that you guys are looking for. So reach out to me. I'd love to connect you and kind of guide you more in that direction. Number 4 is water filtration systems. And I think this one is kind of silly, but fun. Here in the upstate, we have phenomenal tap water, okay? It's weird. You actually don't need a full water filtration system. Now, very few properties have wells here in the area, so obviously you'll want a filtration system on your well water. However, just the water in general here tastes great. Number 3, and this item is, I don't know, I'm surprised that we get asked as much for it as we do, is a pool. This is so much more of a post-COVID era thing. Ever since people got stuck at home, they realized we spend a lot of time outside here, and being stuck at home over the summertime, you really want somewhere to go hang out. So we sell a lot more houses here that have pools than I think we ever used to. People are having them installed. They're very nice in-ground pools. So if you are interested in that, I would say your shot at finding one is pretty high here compared to some other places in the state. Number 2, and I get asked about this all the time. Aubree, what about a home with a basement? Basements don't really exist around here. However, they do show up every so often. You're gonna drive up to the house and it's gonna look like either a single-story ranch or maybe a 2-story, and then you're gonna walk around to the back and you're gonna see the walkout basement. So it's a house that's business in the front and all a party in the back. It's a mullet house. So the houses that have basements are built into the side of a hill here. The ground here is red clay, so they don't go straight down. So walkout basements is what you get in this area. And when you find them, sometimes they're in neighborhoods that are more hilly in nature, but then there's also neighborhoods that there could be basements, but maybe the builder decided not to build a basement to keep prices lower. If you find homes with a basement, then they are going to be more expensive. Say probably starting in the $700,000-800,000 range, ranging all the way up to $1 million. Every so often you do find them in a lower price point, and that's cool. But having a basement here in the upstate just isn't as common as you might think. When you do find a basement though, I would say it's about a 30 to 40% shot that they're actually going to be a finished basement. Because a lot of builders, a lot of people will build out a basement and then just leave it unfinished. So if you want one of those and you want a basement, likelihood is you will find a unfinished basement, and then you can finish it out to all of your special desires and what you want to put in there. Another reason why maybe you won't find a basement necessarily here in the area, since we are located so close to the mountains, we have a little bit of an issue with a thing called radon. Now, radon is a clear, colorless, tasteless, no smell gas. And the bad part about it is when you don't have appropriate air ventilation, it can cause cancer. Not to scare you guys, it doesn't exist too many places around here, but it's not uncommon to find a house that has a radon mitigation system whenever you have a basement or whenever you get closer up to the mountains. Now, every house built since 2010 here in the upstate has a passive radon system in it. So you might see a pipe that's running through a closet or something like that that says radon on the side. And all it is it's there to help make air circulation happen. Now, if radon is found, and that is one of the inspections that we recommend that you get completed here, when it comes to that, don't be too afraid of it. It's something we deal with on a regular basis here, and something to know that you may need in a basement. And the last thing, number 1, which I think is kind of a preference, and it comes and goes with seasons, but right now, the number 1 thing we're asked for is open living, or at least open enough to where if you're in the kitchen and you're cooking a meal and you've got friends that are sitting in the living room, you're not completely away from your company. It's something that happens here in the South as well, because we talk to people and people are kind. It's kind of hard to not have a group or a friend around here if you just step outside your front door. So with that, we have a lot of open living homes here. We have a lot of homes that have been updated and renovated to include that open living. They've moved walls and opened up areas that really update a house very well. If you have any questions, or you're like, Aubree, you just went through everything that I'm looking for, help me buy a house. reach out to the team because, again, we'd love to help. You need to make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you next time.